Hello folks, we're back again, and we've got Jason back today with us, and he's going to be showing us breaking down the hog.
Here we are, we've back with yous, and this is us chunking up the hog that I killed for sausage. And this video will just be that, me breaking down the hog and showing how I chunk it up and stuff. And this is just the way I do it, and we'll kind of go through that. And you can watch me here, I'm bringing out the ribs. Now as you can see with the ribs, all I'm going to do is just kind of lift it up, and you're going to scrape your knife just right along that rib cage as close as you can to the bone. And what I'm making is all hog sausage, so whatever I cut off here, I'll bone out the ribs and I'll cut everything off, so what's not in one part will be in another part. But this is all hog sausage, and this is the way I bring it out. And I'm just bringing the ribs, just cutting as close to the bone as I can, just bringing it on off there. Now with what I'm doing, just bringing off the ribs, and if you've seen, I brought the whole rib cage out this time. Now on the next one, I'll show you how to break it down, kind of like a hog, if we just want to cut it up into primals and stuff, between which ribs and stuff. Now right here, I've cut through the shoulder, and I've just cut right there at the backbone, and I'm going to bring out the tenderloin here that runs out the top of the hog. And if you'll watch, I'll just bring my knife right down that spinal cord, just easing down through there, and I'll pull the loin out, and then I'll cut down on the first vertebrae, and that'll separate the ham from the middling. And when you get to doing this, what's not in one part will be in another. And like I said, this is just me making all hog sausage, and the knife I'm using is a German knife, and this is a chicken knife that you can actually get from that company, and they work good for me. They're an F. Dick brand, and they're just a good German knife, and really do good, hold a good edge, and just seem to really work good processing meat. And right here I'm separating the middling from the ham. So there you got your ham, your middling, and your shoulder. And now I'll proceed to cut it down into smaller sizes. And I'm going to go ahead and bring the hock off right here on this ham. And the whole thing with making this sausage is you just want to get it in smaller sections so you can chunk it up. And that's what we're going to do. We'll move everything out of the way here, and I'll cut the middling up in little thin strips and kind of start going from there. Now this is the middling, and as you can see, I'm just cutting little 2 and 3 inch sections all the way down through it, and then I'll flip it over and I'll skin it, and just hand that off to my dad, and he'll chunk it up for me. And all you're doing is just trying to get everything together. Like I said, this is all hog sausage, so in one tub I'll put all middling, and another tub I'll have all the rib meat and all the tenderloin, and another tub have all the ham, and another and all the shoulder. And I'll put it in my cooler, let it chill overnight, and then the next day is when I grind it. And it seems to work good for me. And like you see right there, I'm just skinning it and fixing it up to where we can just chunk it right up. And right here I'm cutting the meat out on the rib cage there, and just bringing out all the meat for the ribs, and going to pile it up back there, and that'll be put in with the tenderloin. And like I said, this is all hog sausage, so that's everything goes into the sausage here. And I'll work every bit of meat I can off of the bone. You know, the old saying, try to starve a buzzard. That's what I'm going to do. And as you can see, I just go between each one. Just be careful with these knives, you know. We try to keep them good and sharp, and just cut close to the bone. Just get all the meat you can off of it, and this will make you the best sausage you ever eat. And this is the way I do it. Like I said, there's probably other ways to do it, but this is the way I do it. Now, here I am, I'm running it through my saw, and I'm just cutting up a ham right here, and I'm just cutting it up into sections. All I'm doing is trying to get it smaller enough to work with, to bone it out and skin it, and get it to my dad to chunk up. I've got a bandsaw, works perfect, but for years I done it with just a sawzall. So all you do is just cut down to the bone, and then use the sawzall to cut the bone. And like I said, just trying to slice it to where you can bone it out, and you'll kind of see what I do once I get to going here. I'll bone it out, skin it, and then my dad will chunk it up. Now this is the shoulder, and it's the same thing as the ham, just trying to cut it up in sizes so I can handle it, you know, and bone it out and skin it, and that's all we're doing. And right here is one side of a hog done. Once we get this, we just got to bone it out and skin it, and you'll see kind of how we do it. But just be careful, take your time, be safe. That's the most important thing. If you got a bandsaw like this especially. But like I said, I done it for years with a sawzall, and it works just as good. Now, just like I done with the middling, I skin across it there, and then I cut down to where the bone is, and I just bone out each section. And that's what you do. Just take your time, push through there, try to leave a little bit of a fat cap, cut it off, lay the skins out, and just go from there. Just trying to bone it out and getting a chunk of meat. Now right here is something I want you to look for. That's a lymph node, and you'll see that especially around the hams in the fat cap. Try to cut them lymph nodes out at you. You don't want that in your sausage. So just try to watch for them, and you'll see them around right along the edge of that fat cap on the ham, and then they sum up in the shoulders. See how that is? You want to cut that lymph node out of there. Now the ham goes a little bit better than the shoulder, but you'll see here I'm just going to go straight along the edge of this. I'm going to flip it over, and I'll just go right across that skin, keeping a little bit of a fat cap on the piece of ham. And then as I get it done, I'll put my knife on the inside and just cut that bone out, just boning as close as I can to the bone. And then just hand that off to my dad, and he'll chunk that up. Just take your time. Just take your time. Now on these little ham bones that you cut out, try to cut little chunks of meat off of it and get what you can, but whatever's left, just kind of hang on to that bone. That's a good bone to put in as a stock or to season beans or something, and just vacuum seal them bones as you do them like that. And all we're going to do is just finish this ham off doing the same thing, skinning around it, leaving a slight fat cap, and then just boning out the center of it and just chunking it up. And that'll have us, in this hog right here, we'll have the tenderloin and ribs cut up, we'll have the middling cut up, and now we'll have the ham, and we'll move on to the shoulder next. Now this is just a glimpse of my dad chunking up the ham there, and as you can see, he's just cutting it up in small sections. Whatever your grinder will take, you just cut it up into that, and I like to chunk it all up, and I'll end up setting it in my cooler, and I'll do everything tomorrow, just let it chill overnight. As you can see back there next to that meat tub, that's the leaf lard, and we'll pull one out, and we'll pull another one out here in a little bit. But we let Doug and Dan have that, and Carolyn made lard out of it. Now right here's my vacuum chamber, and this is some of them ham hocks. We let Doug and Dan have them, take them home and stuff. And like I said, these are good things to season beans with and make stock with. But we'll talk a little bit about this vacuum chamber. I really like it. And more or less, I got it to do my beefs and stuff. But I really recommend this if you ever had a chance to purchase one. They're well worth it. We've actually even canned green beans and stuff that didn't can, set them in there and have it seal them for us. Now this is just me trimming out the bones. Like I said, get every bit of meat you can off of them. Just take your time. that's kind of finished up the ham and stuff, and you can kind of see how it is. And just get all you can. Like I said, this is all hog sausage, so every little bit I can get just adds to the sausage pile. And I can't stress having a good knife, a good sharp knife, and I really like these F-Dick knives. This is me explaining a little bit on this vacuum chamber, and I really like it. It was on then.
Boy, okie dokie, you'll be happy tomorrow.
What that does is brings that chamber to zero wire, holds it for nearly 20 seconds at zero wire. Then it seals the bag. Then it introduces air back into the chamber. That's what's
Up there when that does that.
runs off the compressor, so it can get hot. Instead of back in the instance.
Yeah. If it ever gets that broken, you can see it fast enough. That's hard out there faster than good in.
Yeah, just got to get it situated.
That's old higher filthy.
Now here we are, we're moving on to the shoulder, and it's just the same thing as the ham. It's a little bit more of a process, but just won't cut around the bone and just ease down through here and skin it out. And like I said, you're just trying to make chunks of meat so you can just chunk it up, just getting it smaller and smaller and smaller. Just most importantly, remember, take your time. And like I said, just cut everything you can off of it. And I just guarantee you this will make the best sausage you ever had if you do it like this right here. You can see on that skin it's got a little bit of meat left right there between the skin and the fat cap there, and just take your knife and ease it along there and just get all you can. You're just trying to bring off everything you can get everything you can to get you a good pile of sausage meat. And you'll see, like I said before, I set the shoulder all by itself, the ham all by itself, the middling all by itself, and then I'll do the tenderloin and rib meat together, and I'll just kind of mix it as I go, and we'll talk a little bit about it. But as you can see on this shoulder, I just slide my knife in, I skin it, trying to leave a little bit of a fat cap, then I'll stick my knife in and just bone through the center of it, just work myself to getting a small section of meat for my dad to chunk up. What I like to do is just weigh everything. Like I said, I separate it, so I weigh everything out. I know exactly how much meat I got in the cooler, so I know exactly how much seasoning I need, whether I need to go buy some or I have enough in my building for tomorrow. So just weigh it as you go. You can kind of see how a hog will break up, and how they work out. And just keep up with it. It'll help you to be able to get it even all the way through. Have a good even mix of sausage. Now here we are, we're on to the other side of the hog, and we're going to cut off the hock first and just start breaking it down. Now on this, and I'm going to break it down kind of like you would break one down, cutting it up for primals instead of sausage, which we're still doing sausage, but I kind of wanted y'all to see this. And if you watched the other video where I done my uncles, I broke it down like this, but this is it laying on a table. So the first thing you're going to see me do is bring off this leaf lard, and you're just going to work your hands into it, and you'll see me, I kind of push around on the sides and I work around, but I'm eventually going to get to where I can get a hold of it, and then I'll score it with my knife some, and you'll just peel that section out of that leaf lard. You'll just push it up out of there. And you can see it right there what I'm doing. I'm just working it, and then as I get it to coming, I'll take my knife and score it some. And like I said, we give this to Carolyn, this leaf lard, and she's got a video that'll be coming out soon of her making the lard. And I recommend anybody that ain't never done it, it's not that hard, and she'll go over it, and I'd say it'd be very interesting. We do it every 3 or 4 years, and work this lard up, and sometimes we'll even do the skins and have a bunch of lard, and it'll seem like it'll help you biscuits and stuff. So very interesting. Like using as much of the hog as we can. Alright, now you got the leaf lard out of the way. Now you're going to cut up the sections, and on this ham I cut it between that first vertebrae. Now if you want to go to the second vertebrae, it just adds more sirloin onto it, but it takes away from your middling. And we kind of like to have a good middling. We're all about the streaked meat and the bacon. We like that. And with the shoulder, I'm going to go between the 5th and the 6th rib, and I'll cut, and it about always comes out at that sternum right there. Now, same thing as the ham. If you want to go more toward the middling, between the 7th and 8th rib, you could. It'd give you more shoulder, but it would take away from your middling. So, like I said before, what's not in one piece will be in another. So, just take your sawzall and kind of ease through it. Cut the bone with your saw, and cut the meat with your knife. Kind of remember that. I'd always do that. And just take your time there. Always be safe. And I love to see this get cut out like this. You cut across, and when you open it up there, you'll see the ham. See it there? I like that. Now just bringing out the short ribs, I reckon you'd call it, across here. You cut it right along the edge of that loin, along the back, and just ease down through there, and you're just going to bone out these ribs, and that'll expose the middling underneath. And you'll see me, I come around there and I cut, and then I'll ease on up there. Just keep a cutting around, and you'll see the section there. Now, just like that other rib, just remember, to cut as close to the bone as you can. Have your knife turned, cutting right on that rib cage. I cut up along there, and then there's these floating ribs that's along the edge there, and you just ease down through there with your knife, and you're just wanting to expose them. So when you're cutting this out, cut as close to that bone as you can. Just take your time, and it'll just peel up off of that middling. So as you cut, just cut as close to that bone as you can. And like I said before, if you cut out a little section middling, it ain't the end of the world, because I bone out the ribs and get everything I can for my sausage. Now, just like before, I'm going to bring off this loin here, and you just kind of cut down through there and then cut along the edge of the fat, leaving the fat cap on your loin, and you'll just pull that up out of there. And I laid over at the ribs, and like I said, I do the ribs and the tenderloin together. I put them in a tub by themselves. Now, up here on this shoulder where we cut between the 5th and 6th rib, there's a little section of ribs there, and also the neck bone. Now, we'll just cut around there and just as close as you can to the bone. Just work your knife around through there and get it to where you can lift it. And like you done on the middling, you're just going to cut as close to the bone as you can to bring out them ribs and just open it up there. And once you get that, you're going to just try to trim up his shoulder a little bit. As you can see right there, there's a little spot of bloodshot there on that shoulder. And you just want to cut across that. You don't want that in your sausage. Just kind of cut it out of there. And that happens sometimes. It ain't no big thing. So just cut it right out of there and bring it right off there. And yeah, just trim it out of there and get it cleaned up. And as you get that trimmed out, you just repeat what we done before. Cut the middling up in sections and skin it. And then cut out your ribs and stuff and your tenderloin, put them all together and just cut up your ham, taking your time skinning it and boning it. And same thing with your shoulder. And that'll get you ready for sausage. And then just put it in the cooler for chilling overnight. Now this is the sausage seasoning that I use. Legs Plantation blend number 10, and I use this. It calls for 25 pound, but I do it to 20 pound intervals. And this seasoning's just worked perfect for me throughout the years. Had an old man tell me about it when I was a youngin', and I just sort of stuck with it. Now I make it mild, that's what this makes. But if you want to make it hot, just a level tablespoon of red pepper put down in that pack and shuck up real good. That'll make your sausage hot. And you'll see kind of how I do this and the way I do it. And like I said, there's other ways to do it. This is the way I do it, and it's been successful for me. I'll take the meat and I'll put it in 20-pound intervals, and I'll weigh out 20 pounds, and I'll take a handful of shoulder, a handful of middling, a little bit of tenderloin and rib meat, handful of middling, and then I'll go with a little bit more ham, a little bit more shoulder till I get 20 pounds. I weigh it out, every bit of it, 20 pounds, and then I throw it in a bigger tub and I'll put the seasoning on it, 20 pounds at a time, and I'll mix it up, and that's when it's ready to grind. I'll mix it up just like that, and then I'll run it through my grinder, and here's a little bit of the sausage that we ground this time, and you can see it had a good fat content. It's a little lean, but I'd rather be a little more lean than fat, and that's just the way I am. That's the way I am. But it made awful good sausage. Everybody seemed tickled with it, and like I said, just weigh it out. I believe that's the most important thing. If you'll weigh it out, the first 20 pounds that you do will be the same taste as the last 20 pounds you do, and that makes for people enjoying it year after year. And like I say, I put it in Ziploc bags. These folks that we have get sausage and stuff, and some folks will can it, and some folks they freeze it, but that's kind of how we do it. And it's kind of a family thing. We all get together and do this, and I just encourage you, if you're going to make all hog sausage, just to kind of do it this way, and just enjoy yourself. You see the breakdown of the hog and the way the meat goes. I really like that, and you know just what you got when you get done. Now, we worked my uncle's hogs up too, and if you remember, I cured his middlings, and right here is the jaws from the hogs that we done the other day, and we salt cured them, and we put them down on the table. And also my uncle's middlings, he had me sugar cure them, and we'd done one earlier in the year, but this is kind of the way the sugar cure looks that we put on, and we just cover it up. And I've got a little mixture that a friend of mine had given me, and I'll just mix it up in my tub, and I'll put it all over there. And the way it kind of works is there's 2 days of cure for every pound of meat. So if you're looking at a 15-pound middling, in 30 days you'll have your middling ready, and that goes with your hams and everything. And we just lay it here. I got a little salt room down in the barn, and nothing can get in there to it, and it's oak tables, and I just salt them on that, and I leave them alone. And after they've been there a couple of days, it starts to work, and I'll kind of put a little salt just to keep it freshened up, and end up you'll wash them off, and after they've got there, they'll turn like a real dark brown where the salt and stuff's worked down in them and dried them out. And I'll hang them up. I'll wash them off, and then I'll hang them up, and you'll see one we got hung up that me and my dad had done, and we just kind of cut off of it as we need. If we had more than one, we'll take it down and cut it up and vacuum seal it. But just since we just had one, we just leave it up, and when we come over to feed the goats, we cut off a little bit for breakfast. And this is the one that we cured. That's what one will look like after it's cured out. And we just hang it up, and it can hang there as we need it. And I want to say I appreciate everybody watching the video, and like I said, this is the way I do it, making all hog sausage, and I hope it'll help you a little bit. And I appreciate Doug and Dan coming out, and I just appreciate everybody watching the video.
Folks, I'd sure like to thank Jason for doing this for us, and I'd like to thank you all for watching. And I believe this is going to be some valuable information for us. We're all going to need to learn this, I believe. And I'd like to thank you again for watching. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe, and hit the little bell notification. And you all have a blessed day, and we'll be seeing you soon. Thank you again for watching.